Primo Levi, Moments of Reprieve. Hello there, my name is Grant. This is Grant Loves Books. This is Primo Levi, Moments of Reprieve. Please like and subscribe the video, please, please, please. My YouTube channel is a little bit stagnant, and I think it's because I always forget to ask people to like and subscribe. Please would you do that? On with the video. Primo Levi, Moments of Reprieve. I'm a huge fan of Primo Levi. I just discovered him a few years ago. The first novel that I read was If Not Now, When? And then that was followed by a collection of short stories, which was just okay. And last year I read The Periodic Table of Elements, which was excellent. If you are watching this video, it's most likely that you are aware of who Primo Levi was. He was an Italian who was of the Jewish persuasion, as they once used to say. Rather tragically, after getting his degree in chemistry in, I believe it was Turin, he was deported to Auschwitz. Miraculously, he survived. I believe he was able to survive for 9 months, and during that time in Auschwitz, he was working in the camp laboratory. You know, he was doing something, and because of his qualifications, he managed to stay alive. He wrote about this in his autobiography, Survival in Auschwitz and the Reawakening. I should check that because I think it's actually known under a different name. If This Is a Man, that's what I recognize. So if you would like to get the real Primo Levi experience about what it was like for him to survive at Auschwitz, you should read If This Is a Man. So why then am I talking about Moments of Reprieve? Well, many years after that book was published and he won his acclaim, he found that he was remembering more and more about his time at Auschwitz. You know, when you're a writer, you can't put everything into the novel. That makes a very cluttered and confusing novel. When you write, it's better to write with a very singular focus. However, if you're writing an autobiography, you might regret leaving out scenes and characters that you think are important, but perhaps are a bit of a diversion from the main line that you're following. And that's what this is. This is a collection of some of his other ideas. I'll read you on the back. Against the terrifying and tragic background of Auschwitz, Levi brings to life the friends, companions, and even adversaries who shared his experience of the Holocaust. As he says in the preface, a great number of human figures especially stood out against the tragic background, no longer the anonymous, faceless, voiceless mass of the shipwrecked, but the few, the different, the ones for whom, if only for a moment, I had recognized the will and capacity to react, and hence a rudiment of virtue. At Auschwitz and on the long road returning home, I had seen and experienced things that appeared important, not only for me, and I had told them, I had testified. I was a chemist, I had a profession which gave me a living and wholly absorbed me. I did not feel the need to write anything else. But things have not gone that way. With the passing of the years, writing has made a space for itself alongside my professional activity. Basically, he goes along to say that he wrote a book. He continued to work as a chemist. I don't know if he made enough money to live as a writer, and he just chose not to, that he wanted to continue to work as a chemist because that, for him, was a very fulfilling existence. Why not? I mean, that is what he studied. That is what saved his life. Why not continue working as a chemist? And if you consider writing to be your little side hobby, even though you are an extraordinarily talented and celebrated artist, if that's what you consider your side hobby, it's his life and he could do with it what he chooses. Thankfully for us, he chose to do the writing because we are so privileged to have it. You know, like how many first-hand accounts of surviving Auschwitz do we have? I'm aware of 2. So in this book we have, it's a collection of short stories, not really short stories, they're little vignettes, because again, it is autobiographical, and he is recalling some of the characters who made an impression upon him. So this chapter is called A Disciple. The Hungarians arrived among us, not in a trickle, but all at once. In the space of 2 months, May and June 1944, they invaded the camp, convoy after convoy, filling the void which the Germans had not neglected to create with a series of diligent selections. Hopefully you are aware of the situation at Auschwitz and the Holocaust and what You know, those well-constructed sentences, they're so nicely formed and so grammatically brilliant, yet the reality of the situation which was happening in Auschwitz, it's amazing that in the space of one sentence, he can kind of float on top of the incredible, devastating horror that happened in prison camp in Poland in the 1940s. At Auschwitz, the wave of Magyars reduced the other nationalities to minorities, without, however, making a dent in the cadres, which remained in the hands of the German and Polish common criminals. All the barracks and work squads were inundated by the Hungarians, around whom, as it happens in all communities around new arrivals, an atmosphere of derision, gossip, and vague intolerance rapidly condensed. There's a very sad set of statistics about how many Jewish people were deported from Budapest to Auschwitz. The number is positively staggering. The Hungarian Jews that were lost, it would populate a small city. There was little feeling of camaraderie among us. It was confined to compatriots, and even towards them it was weakened by the minimal life conditions. It was actually zero, indeed negative, with regard to newcomers. In this and many other respects, we had greatly retrogressed and became hardened. And in the new fellow prisoners, we tended to see an alien, an oafish, cumbersome barbarian who took up space, time, and bread, who did not know the unspoken but ironclad rules of coexistence and survival, and who, moreover, complained, and for the wrong reasons, in an irritating and ridiculous manner because just a few days back he was still at home, or at least outside the barbed wire. Imagine that, you know, the place that almost nobody came back from. So this book is full of all of these stories of these characters, but also the situation of how he was working as a chemist in the laboratory at Auschwitz, and also the people he met there, the people who had a little sympathy for him, and the people he helped, and who in turn helped him. Like there's a wonderful story here about a man who tried to help him, an Italian man, because he was a compatriot, and how this man's help probably helped save his life because he gave him a little portion of soup every day. This book is quite difficult for me to review because I did enjoy it very much. It's just that I have not read his main book that he's most famous for, If This Is a Man. Or when you read this book, if you have not read his principal work about the survival of Auschwitz, it very much feels like a collection of footnotes, which I suppose it is. It's a nice addition to the story of Primo Levi, which for me is something that I find endlessly fascinating. Those very, very few people who managed to survive and then had the ability to write about it afterwards, to try to express to the world what it was they had gone through, how it affected them as human beings, what was left of their soul after this destroying experience. If you are interested in the Holocaust, Auschwitz, the situation with the deportation of the European Jews to this Polish prison camp, it is good. It is good. It is the footnotes to his larger work. This is not the place to begin with Primo Levi. This is supplementary material. It's great, but you need to have the first book first. No book lottery today because this was a library book that I got from my school library, so I picked it up because it was short and I wanted to read something during the break, so no book lottery today for my patrons. Sorry, patrons. We've still got a couple of names in there. Thank you. Thank you all the people who've been joining up to Patreon. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Now, well, what can I say? Next time I do a book. Okay? All right. Take care, everybody.